お待たせいたしました。
Thank you for waiting, ladies and gentlemen. Next, we have the president of IGES, Hideyuki Mori, to deliver the framing presentation. So he's going to give you the overview of the ISAP 2016. President Mori, please. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mori with IGES. My presentation will be about 10 minutes. I'm going to provide you a guide to how to enjoy ISAP 2016. So this is the 8th ISAP, and I hope that we can further deepen our discussions. So we have organized 13 sessions today and tomorrow over the 2 days. How they interrelated, I think maybe that is not so easy for you to see. So that is what I would like to explain to you. The focus of this year's ISAP, well, as Mr. Kajihara, Vice Minister, said, there were 2 major agreements signed last year, the SDG and the Paris Agreement. So the focus is on implementation of those agreements. So we're going to involve various stakeholders in the implementation. That is the overriding theme or the focus of this ISAP. So with what kind of mindset should we listen to the various sessions? Well, we have drawn up this kind of a chart that shows a framework. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4. So when implementing this at a national level or at the company level, first it's important to set the vision clearly, what to do by when. And then you should establish policies or projects or programs and put those ideas into implementation. And then you need to follow up to check the progress and then go back to frame 1. So it's the PDCA cycle to make sure that the progress is achieved. So that's the basic framework. So this could be termed as good governance. So you set a good target, you check the progress, and there is an organization or institution to support that process. So we should have a debate about that. And in order to actually implement this, there are 3 major factors: means of implementation, financing, technology, and the capacity of people who actually are involved in the implementation. So how to procure these 3 elements, that is another important viewpoint. This time, it's not just about national governments. We have international organizations, also national governments, also cities, businesses, cities, I repeated city twice, and financial institutions and NGOs. So various actors, individually or commonly or jointly, working on this theme. So global partnership, we believe, is the key. So we should debate from diverse viewpoints of various stakeholders. So for financing, technology, and investment, business, there are targeted sessions for each of those keywords. So after this, well, there are 3 types of sessions. First type is the plenary session, and then there's the sub-plenary sessions, and then there's the parallel sessions. 3 types. This morning and in the afternoon, there's going to be plenary sessions. So plenary sessions are held here, and at that time, no other sessions will be held. So this morning's session, as has been mentioned, we have Ambassador Tubiana joining us. And we're going to talk about the negotiation process for the Paris Agreement. Ambassador Tubiana played a major role there. And so she's going to give us a keynote presentation. And after that, we're going to discuss, after the Paris Agreement and SDGs, how we're going to implement it. So we should have an international dialogue. That will be the gist of the morning session. And then in the afternoon, we have from the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research, Professor Schellenhuber, director of that institute. He's going to give us the keynote speech. So 2 degrees C target. Well, if you exceed that, there's going to be a major impact. So he talked about a tipping point. So he's globally well known as a climatologist for those concepts. So he's going to address the audience with that keynote. And then we have representatives from the academia, cities, and the private sector. So what kind of roles should each play is going to be discussed in that session. After those two sessions, well, in the latter part of the morning, in the second part of the morning, we're going to have a sub-plenary session. So what kind of investment and policy environment should we develop? And then we're going to have a session about the market mechanisms and also, well, earlier I talked about the tipping point. There could be refugees, so we like to have a session about that. So those are the parallel sessions. On the second day, in the morning, as was mentioned, well, the G7 ministerial meeting was held in Japan, and mayors of 8 cities participated and talked about what could be done by cities. So Mayor Mori of Toyama City is going to describe that experience. And then we're going to talk about SDG implementation in Asia. Diverse stakeholders are going to take part and share their views. That's the plenary session for tomorrow morning. Then in the afternoon, we are going to have 2 sub-plenary sessions. The first deals with the business perspectives. How should businesses be involved in the SDG implementation? And then there are 2 parallel sessions about the technological transfer. That's one. The other is concerning adaptation to climate change. What kind of role microfinance can play? And lastly, tomorrow afternoon, from Japan to Asia, there's going to be some messages in various sessions. First session is about networking amongst cities. And there are many cities in Japan who are active in that field. So we're going to send out a message from Japan about intercity collaboration. And then the next session is about the 3 Rs and lifestyles based on such experiences in Japan. Sustainable consumption and production, how can we spread that to Asia? And also the Satoyama initiative, Japan has been leading that effort. How can we introduce that to Asia and the world? That's going to be discussed in another session. So that's the overall setup. Then in addition to that, there are 3 side events. The 2050 Global Calculator. So if you take various countermeasures, what will be the economic impact? You can examine the impact in the interactive way. And we developed this together with the British and European counterparts and with the NIES. And we want to try to introduce to the global stage. So there's going to be a session about that, the global calculator. And then there's going to be a video session talking about the climate adaptation. So it's a smaller room, 2 doors from here. That's where the side events will be held. So that is the overall framework. So I hope you'll join each of the sessions, and in those sessions, please raise questions so that we can have fruitful discussions. We ask for your cooperation and participation, and I thank you for your attention.
森社長、
Thank you very much, Mr. Mori.